Welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show, coming to you this week from sunny Spain. On this week's show, we get to meet cycling's latest superstar. I caught up with Cat Ferguson after a season in which she won world titles on the road and on the track, plus 2 pro-level road races with Movistar, while still being of junior age. I'll also look at the move of Tom Pidcock from Ineos Grenadiers over to Q36.5 and wrap up the latest track and cyclocross action, most of which was cancelled. This week in the world of racing, we learnt that Tom Pidcock is leaving Ineos Grenadiers, which brings to an end a 2-month saga involving the Olympic mountain bike champion. That news came out last Wednesday, and on Friday, Q36.5 confirmed that they were the team that's going to be his destination for the next 3 years. More on that later on. We also learnt that the first of the 2025 World Tour team kits have been launched. This is what French team Cofidis is going to look like next year. Now, I saw quite a lot of dislike for that on social media, but I'm a fan. Bold and bright, albeit quite Spanish looking for a French team. This is what Lidl Trek are going to look like next year. Just a Lidl change there. See what I did there? Yeah, bad joke, I know. But not much need for a change because that kit was hot in 2024 and it looks hot again for 2025. Also, Groupama FDJ have launched their kit for 2025, but again, not too much change there. Nor is there for the other French World Tour squad, Decathlon AG2R. And finally this week, we learned that Remco Evenepoel's preparations for the 2025 season have not been going too smoothly. He was knocked off his bike by a postal van whilst training at home in Belgium last Wednesday. The team later released a statement on their website to confirm that he'd had multiple fractures. Those fractures are to a rib, to his right shoulder and to his right hand. But then Evenepoel later took to his own social media to add another injury to the list, saying he'd also dislocated a collarbone. All of which sounds very sore and very painful. We wish him all the best in a speedy recovery. OK, back to Tom Pidcock, Ineos Grenadiers and Q36.5. Cycling journalists the world over sort of hope and pray for some sort of big story to keep us all going through cycling's off-season, and this year it's been Pidcock and Ineos Grenadiers. Now, all these things sort of erupted really just before Il Lombardia, when he was left off or removed from their roster at the last minute, despite showing great form at the time. There were many people to say that that relationship was basically beyond repair, and there were a flurry of rumours as to where he might go to if he did leave Ineos Grenadiers. However, where he ended up was in Manchester not that long ago at a team get-together. Again, it led many people to think that perhaps the deal was too complicated to get through. However, the 3 parties, plus Pidcock's agent, Andrew McQuaid, obviously managed to iron out all the complications because last Wednesday, Ineos said that he was leaving. They've managed to get themselves to a point where they can say goodbye to a rider that they clearly didn't want for the remaining 3 years of his contract, whilst Pidcock's now in a position where he's leaving a team he clearly didn't want to ride for the next 3 years. Q36.5 had long been rumoured to be the front runners when it came to getting Pidcock's signature if he left Ineos Grenadiers, and that was confirmed last Friday. Now, initially it seems like a bit of a strange destination for him as one of the world's most talented riders, because Q36.5 are a second division team and therefore don't get automatic qualification to the world's biggest races. But I think it could work out very well for both parties. I mean, obviously it's great news for Q36.5. They've got one of the biggest names in the world on their roster now, and that in turn will help them get invites to the world's biggest races. But the move kind of reminds me of where Bora were when they signed Peter Sagan back in the day, and it also sort of reminds me of when Carlos Sastre and Thor Hushovd signed for a team called Cervelo Test Team. Remember them? In the end, they all worked out well for both rider and for team, even though they seemed a little bit strange at the time. I mean, for Tom Pidcock, well, he's going to be by far the biggest name on their roster, so he'll get even more freedom. He'll get to pick and choose exactly what race programme he wants to do. And given that the owner is Ivan Glazenberg, who's got very deep pockets and who apparently owns Pinarello, you'd imagine that Q36.5 could quickly become one of the biggest teams in the world. Anyway, as ever, I would love to know your thoughts on this deal. Who do you think were the winners and losers of this whole thing? You can let me know in the comment section just down below. Right, time now to catch up with Cat Ferguson, who in 2024 won the Junior World Road Champs, the Junior World Time Trial Champs, a European title, a world title on the track. She became national champion on the road, national champion in cyclocross, and won 2 pro-level road races with Movistar at the age of just 18. With those kinds of results, I'd say she's probably a star of the present as opposed to a star of the future. Anyway, I got to catch up with her last Friday while she was on a brief visit back home in Yorkshire. Firstly, Kat, huge congratulations for an absolutely massive season. A few people that are watching the GCN Racing News Show will know that I was a bit obsessed with your results on First Cycling because for the longest time you weren't outside the top 3. How was the season for you? Were there any disappointments?
Yeah, I'd say same as you. My disappointment came in September when I came, I think, 7th in the race, and I ruined my streak of 1, 2, 3s. But no, I've had a really great season, and the times I didn't win, I've been super happy with the roles that I played for the team, and I think I've learned so much and come such a long way. And yeah, I only look back on the season in a positive way. It's been incredible.
I'll get back to the season shortly, but I wanted to start by asking how you got into the sport. I mean, I have read it, and it sounds like you got into cycling to help your skiing, which for someone from North Yorkshire is probably quite rare.
Yeah, I mean, it is cold here, but we don't quite get snow. But yeah, I did slalom skiing when I was younger, just mainly training and racing on sort of dry ski slopes in the UK. And then did a bit of cycling to just help me with training for skiing, and just referred how sociable it was. You could speak to someone whilst doing it. There was less sort of chat about your technique, and you're actually more doing the sport than discussing. So I decided to stop sort of ski racing and start cycling racing. So I just started nationally, and then sort of as a junior started racing internationally, and I've loved the sport ever since.
Was it multidiscipline right from the very beginning, or which discipline did you start with, and how did you get into the others from there?
Yeah, so I started with road, just racing like after school on a Thursday night. And then my friend at the time was doing cyclocross, so I thought, yeah, I'll give that a go. And then my sort of cycling club rented out the track a couple of times. I started going on the track and loved how like fast it was and everything. And then I just sort of picked up and started doing everything and really enjoyed that sort of like multidisciplinary aspect of it.
And you come through the ranks very quickly, but at the end of your first year junior, which I would also describe as being very successful, I read that you were quite disappointed. There were a lot of second places and a lot of silver medals last year in 2023.
Yeah, there was too much silver for my sort of liking. A really good year, I'd say, for learning. Like, it motivated me so much for this year to come back and get the gold medals, which I wanted, using sort of the past disappointment to push myself, but also not make myself like so incredibly like nervous, and just remember that it's just a bike race. And that's sort of how I would say that success came from it. I believe you don't feel any less hungry though, having had all the gold medals that you've got this year. No, definitely not. I'd say it only motivates you to want to continue it. Yeah.
And the road worlds, obviously, we know, were very successful with 2 gold medals, but you'd already started your sort of pro career, I guess, with Movistar as a trainee before that, with already a lot of success. I know you went into that period as a stagiaire saying you were there to learn. With 2 pro wins, you either learned very quickly or the team also put a lot of faith in you straight away to work for you in a couple of those races.
The team put faith in me, but not that they were particularly going to work for me. Like, I was just sort of given a sort of free role, if you'd like to call it that, in the 2 races that I did manage to win. I was there at the end, and I had great teammates around me who managed to help me and put me in the position to be able to win the sprints. It was crazy, like getting the results. My parents were following me all around these races, and it was never something I expected. But yeah, I'm really grateful for the team to give me those opportunities.
After the first of those wins, you got sick the day after and pulled out of the stage race. How much of a scare was that just ahead of the World Champs?
The second stage of that stage race was only 2 days before Time Trial Worlds. I actually didn't feel very good, like on the bike coming into Worlds, and it was just so much sort of build up and sort of nerves that mentally I just was questioning everything I was doing. So I decided to pull out the second stage, which was hard to do and something I've never done before. Like, I am a racer, I do like to race everything, but it was better for me to not finish that race and prioritise time trial Worlds.
Well, congratulations on the gold there and indeed in the road race. Talk us through the road race. I mean, you must have heaped a lot of expectations on yourself for that road race, even with the gold under your belt already from the time trial. You know, how was the feeling on that morning, and talk us through the latter stages of the race?
I was really excited in the morning with the road race. Like, I think the time trial had shown me that I was in a good physical condition. I just needed that belief, which I'd got from the time trial. So I was really happy and not that nervous, to be honest, going into the road race. I was super happy with the team around me, and I knew that if it wasn't me sort of in the position to win that race, it would be one of my teammates, which I would equally be just as happy about. A little bit of apprehension with the rain, but I sort of reminded myself where I'm from. I'm from Yorkshire and I'm used to that, and maybe others aren't as much.
Yeah, I've got a skiing background. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Much of a celebration that evening?
Yes, big celebration that evening. Zurich is a very expensive place to go out, which we learned.
2 drinks, 2.5. Then talk us through Binche-Chimay-Binche, because obviously that's a pretty big one-day race for the autumn on the men's side and the women's side. You know, that's a big win for any pro rider, let alone somebody that's on a stagiaire on a tryout with the team.
Binche was, super unexpected. Like, I remember I was there, I came straight from Road Worlds to that area and did like a recce of the course and was with my parents. But I think it showed me that I perform the best when I'm having fun, and I really was just having so much fun with the team, just learning everything I can from people like Emma. And I was really grateful to the girls that they, believed in me and sacrificed their race to enable me to get the result for the team.
Yeah, it must have been a sort of pinch your skin moment to have somebody of Emma's calibre working for you already. Then you went to Italy and completely ruined your stats with a couple of results outside the top 10. How was it there? That probably was the biggest learning experience of the year, was it?
Yeah, Italy was really cool. Like, something really different to what I'd experienced before. Like, that was what I'd expected to see in my sort of stagiaire time. The races there were brutal. Like, the hills and everything were, harder than I could have ever imagined. But I'm really happy that I managed to do a good job for the team. Like, the first race I did, which Longo Borghini won, I remember like leading Murray, one of her teammates, out into the ascent of San Luca, and then just like pulling off and just rolling up the climb, which is something I've never done before, like just taking it easy in the race. And I joined the gruppetto, and then the next time up the climb, like everyone was sort of cheering for us and things like that. And it was a very different experience, but one that I'll remember sort of forever. It was really crazy.
And did you get much of a break after that last race of the year?
Yeah, I got 2 weeks off. I went to Morocco and did some surfing and yoga for a week, which was something different. And I'm glad to say that I'm in cycling, because surfing definitely is not for me.
So skiing and cycling, stick to what you're good at, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I read yesterday that you're about to embark on a cyclocross campaign of sorts over the winter, and it's the first time Movistar had a rider at the very top level. Can you reveal the calendar or the plan for this winter?
Yeah. So my first race is in a week. It's next Saturday, which is going to be Herentals, and then I'll do the Moor World Cup the day after. And I think in total I'm doing around 20 races for the team. I'll do nationals and hopefully finish my season at Worlds if I get selected, and I'd love to go. I'm excited, quite nervous, like first time stepping up and racing in the elite category. I know it's going to be super hard, but I'm really excited and grateful that the team is supporting me. I think it shows the belief they have in me to try something new like that.
What does next year look like in your own head? You know, given the success you've already had in the pro ranks this year, is there more pressure from yourself going into 2025?
No, like I'm planning to take next year slow, like almost forget that I did manage to somehow win 2 pro races as a stagiaire, and just focus on learning how to do my role as a domestique really well, and hopefully, yeah, learning a lot that way and from the people around me. But mainly just enjoying my first sort of year full time, focusing on cycling, like no school. Yeah, just enjoying racing my bike and training for a living. It's still a little bit surreal to me that someone's paying me to do that. Yeah, it's a bit of a dream, and definitely something as a kid I would have never believed at 18, as a woman, that I'm being paid to ride my bike every day.
On that point, do you feel like you've come into the sport at probably the best possible time for a female professional rider, given where it's come from, where it's at right now, and where it seems to be going pretty quickly?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm so grateful that I'm joining the sport at this time. I don't think opportunities that I have right now would have been available to me 5 years ago. I think it's a little bit of a sink or swim in the junior category now. Like, it's unfortunate that recently some sort of good UK, like Conti under 23 teams have folded. So I think it does put more emphasis on the junior category to maybe get a world tour contract or something that puts you straight into the world tour, as sort of the under 23 scene in the UK anyway is not great at the minute. But still, I feel incredibly lucky that I'm able to get something like a world tour contract. Yeah, it wouldn't have been possible 5 years ago, and yeah, I'm so grateful.
I wish you the best of luck for 2025 and beyond. I'll be definitely keeping my eye on your results again, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers watching this will be as well. So yeah, best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
My thanks once again to Cat for taking the time to speak to us last week. I'm sure many of you will be keeping your eye on her results this winter, next season, and far beyond that. Well, now it seems like a good time to move over to cyclocross, which isn't going to take particularly long, unfortunately. The third round of the UCI World Cup had been slated to take place on Sunday, yesterday in Sardinia, an island in Italy, but was cancelled at the very last moment when a storm rolled in. So a press release from the UCI, combined with the local race organisers, effectively said that they weren't able to guarantee the safety of the riders taking part. So a very sensible decision, albeit a very disappointing one for everybody involved. The UCI Track Champions League final round was also cancelled, but for very different reasons, on Saturday night in London. So that was due to be the grand finale of this year's UCI Track Champions League. However, there was a horrific crash on an event on the Saturday night of round 5 involving Katie Marchant. She and Alessia Catriona-Propster were involved in a collision that saw both of them fly over the guardrail and into the spectators beyond. It looked really, really bad. Somewhat unbelievably, Propster, after receiving 10 minutes of medical attention, was able to walk away. And also, thankfully, the 4 spectators involved only had minor injuries. Marchant was the worst off, though. She went to hospital, and scans there revealed that she'd fractured the ulna and radius of her right forearm and also dislocated 2 fingers. So we wish her all the very best in her recovery. The organisers of the event were quick to cancel the remaining events that evening. And as yet, we are unsure as to whether they will be rescheduled. I have a hunch they won't be, because that sort of thing is always a lot more complicated than you think it ought to be. Anyway, as things stand, the only winner of a series thus far is Katie Archibald. She had an unassailable points lead in the women's endurance series. But as yet, the men's endurance and women's and men's sprints don't have any winners declared, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Right, a reminder that you can watch a full season of bike racing live and on demand on Discovery Plus and Max. So if that event is rescheduled, you'll be able to find it on those platforms. Just one more bit of news this week, and that is that one of the oldest riders in the peloton, Yukiya Arashiro, has signed 1 extra year as a professional rider. He'll be riding for Vinnie Fantini in 2025. Right, that's all for this week. Thank you, especially to those of you who've made it right to the end of this show. I'll be back next Monday to wrap up all the racing news once again.